Section 1. Okay, picture this. You find out there's a legendary Pokémon ROM hack, custom story, custom region, hundreds of hours of content, but it was only ever released in Japanese. Or Chinese. Or Portuguese. And the fan translation scene? Dead. Nobody's picking it up. Until now. Meowth GBA Translator is an open source tool that does something genuinely impressive. It takes a Pokémon GBA ROM hack in a foreign language and, in one command, extracts all the in-game text, translates it using AI, and reinserts it back into the binary ROM file. You end up with a playable, English ROM. No emulator fiddling, no hex editor nightmares. Just, input foreign ROM, output English ROM. Let's walk through what's actually happening under the hood. The tool first parses the GBA binary file, which is, let's be honest, just a raw blob of bytes, and it knows how to find text strings inside that blob. GBA games store text in specific encodings, often custom character tables, and the tool handles that extraction step. Once the text is pulled out, it gets sent through an AI translation layer. The project uses large language model APIs to translate strings in bulk. Then, the translated strings are reinserted into the exact byte offsets in the original ROM, respecting the game's internal pointer tables so the game engine still knows where to find each line of dialogue. The result? You launch the translated ROM in your GBA emulator, and the NPCs speak English. The menus are in English. The story unfolds in English. It's not perfect, we'll get to that, but the core pipeline works. Section 2. Alright, let's be straight about what this tool does not do, because there's a lot of nuance here. First, it does not produce professional quality translations. The AI is doing bulk string translation without deep game context. It doesn't know that is Bulbasaur's Japanese name, or that a specific NPC has a gruff personality that needs a certain tone. You're going to get functional translations, sometimes awkward, sometimes slightly wrong in context, but not the kind of polished localization you'd get from a dedicated human fan translator spending months on a project. Second, text overflow is a real problem. GBA games have fixed-size text boxes. If the original Japanese dialogue fits in 30 characters and the English translation comes out as 50 characters, the text is going to overflow, get cut off, or break the layout. The tool doesn't automatically solve this. It's a known hard problem in ROM hacking even for experienced teams. Third, this tool is specifically built for Pokémon GBA ROM hacks, games built on the Fired or Emerald engine, which have known, documented text formats. If you try to run it on a random GBA game or even a heavily modified ROM hack with custom text systems, it's probably not going to work cleanly. Fourth, graphics. Pokémon games sometimes have text baked into image tiles, title screens, menu graphics, attack names rendered as sprites. This tool does not touch those. You'll get text box dialogue translated, but image-based text stays in the original language. And finally, it's a developer tool. You need Python, you need an API key for the translation model, and you need to be comfortable running scripts from the command line. This is not a point-and-click app for casual users yet. Section 3. So where could this realistically go from here? A few directions stand out. The most obvious improvement is context-aware translation. Right now, strings are translated somewhat in isolation. But if you feed the model more context, the string appears in a rival battle, this NPC is an elderly professor, this is a victory screen, the translation quality goes up significantly. That's achievable with better prompt engineering and a structured context file alongside each ROM. Another realistic evolution is a GUI wrapper. Right now it's command line only. A simple desktop app or even a web-based frontend that lets you drag and drop a ROM, pick your target language, and click go would dramatically expand who can use this. That's not science fiction, that's a weekend project for someone motivated. There's also the multi-language angle. Right now the primary use case seems to be translating to English. But there's a whole community of Spanish, French, German, and Brazilian Portuguese speakers who have their own ROM hacks that other communities can't access. The pipeline is language agnostic in principle, it's just a matter of testing and validating it in more language pairs. And longer term? Imagine a ROM hack preservation project, an archive of foreign language fan games that would otherwise be inaccessible to 90% of the world, made playable through AI translation. That's the kind of cultural preservation use case that's genuinely interesting. Section 4. So why does this exist? What problem is it actually solving? ROM hacking has been a hobbyist tradition for over 25 years. Fan communities have poured thousands of hours into creating entirely new Pokémon games, new regions, new stories, new mechanics on top of the original GBA engine. A huge portion of these hacks were made in East Asian countries, particularly China and Japan, where there's a massive GBA ROM hacking scene that Western communities rarely interact with. The result is a weird situation. There are genuinely excellent, well-crafted fan games out there that the English-speaking community has never been able to experience. And manual translation is brutal. Learning the ROM hacking tools, learning the text encoding formats, doing the actual translation work, managing pointer tables, it's months of skilled, tedious work for a volunteer. Most projects just never happen. Meowth GBA Translator attacks that bottleneck directly. It takes the hardest technical parts, the binary parsing, the encoding, the reinsertion, and automates them. It then uses AI to handle the translation itself. The output isn't perfect, but imperfect and playable beats never translated and inaccessible every time. This is AI being used not for productivity software or customer service chatbots, but for cultural access. For making creative works available to people who couldn't reach them. And honestly, that's one of the more compelling use cases I've seen in a while. The project is open source, it's on GitHub, link is in the description. If you're a ROM hacker, a retro gaming enthusiast, or just curious how AI-powered binary manipulation works, it's worth exploring. We'll see you in the next one.